When you make industry sales experience a key criteria in your hiring process, you build a mediocre team. Sound crazy? Well, let me explain how and why I know this. I help a lot of industrial companies improve their sales hiring. In some cases, I act as their proxy, kind of like an HR department specifically for hiring sales talent. And in some cases, I coach them on how to improve results. But there's one common mistake that I see companies making repeatedly when I start working with them, and that's hiring for industry sales experience. Now, on the surface, it makes sense. You want somebody to ramp quickly by bringing industry contacts and relationships and skipping the product training that can be quite complex in many B2B sales. But here's the thing. There's a reason they're leaving their current company. And the most common reason is lack of performance. Let's think about it for a minute. A typical complex B2B industrial sales role, let's say you've got a 6-month ramp time, even if a rep arrives knowing the industry. They have to learn about your culture and process and your SOPs. Then let's allow for a typical 6 to 12-month sales cycle. Then there's going to be some grace as you work with them to help them get traction if they're not showing expected results in the typical sales cycle. Let's say that's another 6 months. Then you may hesitate to put them on a PIP because you might not have tightly wired process and expectations. So you need to start to document. And then you may hesitate a bit to pull the trigger because you just don't feel like trying to cover an empty territory yourself, much less recruit again. And voila, there's your 3 to 4 year cycle that we often see among industry salespeople. Often they're leaving just as they realize that their mediocre performance is catching up with them and things are starting to go south. Now, could they be leaving for other reasons? Yes, of course. And some of them might be quite legitimate. But often, if you ask the right questions the right way, you'll discover excuses. It's always someone or something else's fault. Most salespeople are by definition average. There's a bell curve in all of nature. But nobody likes to acknowledge that. In fact, Dunning-Kruger tells us that the more average someone is, the less likely they're able to recognize their own average status. Have you ever had a salesperson say something to you that sounds like, hey, the company was great. There was effective leadership, good management, good product market fit, competitive pricing, great lead times, fabulous customer service and support? Of course not. They've always got external justifications. We used to call them excuses, but those are their reasons for lack of performance. It's never them. Well, guess what? When it comes to your company, there will be excuses too. Maybe it's something new, maybe it's something familiar that they've told you about one of their previous employees. Your company is different. They won't be. What's the alternative to hiring for industry sales experience? It's simple. Step back and understand why companies buy. They don't buy because of the technical details of your product or service. They buy because you'll help them achieve a meaningful outcome for their business. Their technical buyers will probably ask your sales reps lots of detailed kinds of questions, and someone on your team should be able to answer those for sure. But that can be an applications engineer. Your salespeople need to be able to have business conversations and to make the sale to the people who make capital spending decisions. In most cases, technical familiarity actually works against that goal because they fall into discussions about things that aren't meaningful to the executives making decisions. So if we need salespeople who can sell to executives, then we need people with business savvy who can actually sell, more than we need technical experts. So let's hire for superb sales ability. Let's set our standard at hiring second standard deviation sales talent, and let's make sure that they have some reasonable aptitude to at least become conversant in your industry. Stop hiring retreads. Stop falling for the myth of industry sales experience and start hiring hotshots. I'm Ed Marsh. I work with industrial manufacturers to help them improve marketing and sales results. If you're tired of disappointing sales hiring outcomes, maybe we should chat.